So let's just enjoy 3 sound of the bells. And if you could, please sit back upright and relax your whole body and calming your mind. Just really enjoy each other company. Feel the energies around us, the pleasant, the kindness, the joy, the happiness. Listen, this wonderful sound brings me back to my true self. Breathing in, I know that I'm breathing in. Breathing out, I know that I'm breathing out. Body, speech, and mind are oneness. I send my heart along with the sound of the bell. May everyone be safe, peace, free from affliction, sorrow, and sadness. Breathing in, I send my energy to my parents. Breathing out, may my parents be safe, happy, and peace. Dear friends, today is Sunday afternoon, August 17, 2025. How's everyone doing? Okay, wonderful. The Buddha said that our mind is like a field. There's every kind of seed in this field. The field is like a garden. Sea of love, compassion, understanding, caring, respect, generosity, kindness. But there's also other sea of anger, craving, arrogance, ignorance, delusion, discrimination, violence, hatred. And in this field, we refer to alaya consciousness, which is stored consciousness. Whatever we contact with our 6 senses and sense of objects is stored in this consciousness. So with six senses, without consciousness, our eyes, our ears, our nose, our tongue, our body, our mind cannot be recognized, the object that we contact. But when there is consciousness, the eyes consciousness, the ear consciousness, the nose consciousness, the tongue consciousness, the body consciousness, the mind consciousness, then it can identify and know what they are contacting to the objects. So the Buddha said we have to be very careful to what we contact through this sixth consciousness. Otherwise, we might damage our mind and our body without aware. Consciousness means awareness. Consciousness means you know what you see, what you hear, what you smell, what you taste, what you touch, and what you think. And then there's seven consciousness is favored to the other six consciousness, which means the function of seven consciousness we call it manas. It's like pleasure, it's like risky, it's like taking favor in craving that we have. So we have to train the seven consciousness and other six consciousness. Otherwise, what we contact is we'll store it in our alaya consciousness, which is the door consciousness, or in Western we call background consciousness. Think of our mind is like a garden, it's like a field. Let's say if someone give you a small little property, a garden, and you are a gardener, and what would you like to plant in this garden? I'm sure most of us every one of us wants to plant beautiful garden, right? Want to have roses, flowers, all kind of flower. And of course, when if there are weeds, we pull it out, we destroy it and remove it so that it won't take over our flowers, plants, right? So our mind is the same thing. How do you want to manifest yourself through other people? How do you want other people to see you? Do you want other people to see you as a flower or as weeds? We describe weeds as something that is not beautiful, something that needs to be extinct, right? Extinction. Something needs to be removed. Something that is annoying, right? So in our mind view, we also have to think about that too. How do you want to plan? How do we want to plan, or what kind of seed do we want to plant in our store consciousness, in our field? What do you want to plant this? Tulips. And so that's a physical garden, but in your mind garden, what do you want to plant? What kind of seed do you want to plant? Or soul? What about back to you? So you want tulip in your physical garden, but in your mind garden, what do you want? What kind of seeds you want to plant? What about you? What kind of seed do you want to plant in your store consciousness, in your mind garden? A lotus, so that's a physical garden, but in the mind. So our mind is like a garden, right? And so what kind information, what kind characteristic, what kind personality, what kind quality that you want to plant in your mind garden? Go. Yes. Diligent. Yes, diligent is one very important factor. Diligent. 10 points for a gong. What about the boy back there? Happiness. Yes. Compassion. Wow. Diligent, happiness, compassion. Mindfulness. Yay. Very good. What about you? So we have diligent, we have compassion, we have happiness, mindfulness. So mindfulness already said. What about you? Go. You. Kindness. Kindness. So today we have in our mind garden of this group, we have compassion, we have mindfulness, we have diligence, we have mindfulness, we have kindness. And of course, there are many other C's that you have not mentioned, like generosity, respect, love, etc. It's important that we plant those seeds so that when we have a problem, when we face some difficulties and challenges through physically or to mentally or the condition around us, we have something to fight, to transform. Let's say, con tên gì? Question? Yeah. Gia Hưng, let's say Gia Hưng wants to plant a diligence seed. And that's what she wants to plant, that's what she wants to grow in her garden. But then she's not always diligent, right? Not always diligent. There's a time that she don't want to be diligent. There's a time that she want to kick back and play video game or watching a movie. And she knows that she's supposed to do something at this time and not sitting here playing video game or watching TV or going on social media. Because she planted the seed of diligence regularly every day, water that seed of diligence, and suddenly the seed of diligence told her, Hung said, oh, you have to get up. There's something you have to do better than sitting here playing video game. There's something better for you to read nonsense on the social media. There's something better for you than be affected by this kind of message. So then her diligence, she pulled out from that zone, pulling out from that condition that she dwelled in, and suddenly she finds something else to do better, like going for a walking, doing a walking meditation, writing something, doing her homework, maybe writing a poem because it was in the pleasant. So when you plant those seeds, it's very helpful. We all have kind of a craving, a temptation, and fooled by distraction around us. But if we don't plant good seeds every day, we forget ourselves. We forget our responsibility. We forget our goal, our dream, our true self, our kindness, our love to ourselves and to our parents or family. We forget. But if we plant every day, like for example, we plant mindfulness seed every day, then there will always kind of energy to remind us to be mindful in our speaking, in our thinking, and in our action. So we act with grace. We act out or speak think positively and productively, because we plant the seed of mindfulness. And our mindfulness will not let us do something wrong. Maybe for 1 second, but then suddenly that mindfulness seed snaps us out from that wrong action or wrong speaking or thinking. So it's important that we have to recognize what kind of seed that we want to plant in our mind garden. Every one of you should have very clear respect on that. Because otherwise, the weeds, the unwholesome seed, the seed of craving, anger, delusion, ignorance, arrogance, laziness, will grow and will take over your garden. And the only thing you see in your garden is angry, and jealousy, and hatred, discrimination, and violence. Because we don't plant the good seeds. But every day we plant the good seed. And then when that seed, craving and hatred arise, the mindfulness seed, the diligence seed, the compassion seed, happiness, transform that. Remove that from our consciousness so that we act with kindness, with mindfulness, with love. So the first thing we need to recognize, what do we want to plant? What kind of good seed that we want to plant in our garden? So that it can transform other negative seed, other weeds, and unwholesome seed when it arises. We have to know. So those who couldn't answer to my question, I want you to go home and contemplate and reflect on it and sit and write down what kind of good seed that needs to plant in your mind garden. And then at the other column, what kind of seed that needs to be removed, say when it arises. So first we have to have ideas and reflection on that. But then we don't stop there. Now how do we remove? Okay, we know that we want to plant mindfulness seed or diligence. Then there is a practice that we have to do every day. It doesn't have to be very long hours. It could be 15 to 30 minutes each day. We have 24 hours in a day. To take away 30 minutes or 15 minutes is nothing. Yeah. So how do we build the energies of mindfulness or energies of diligence or energies of compassion, kindness? Because everything is an energies, right? So we have to be very clear in our practice. And today I want to share with you some of the simple practice that I share with the adult today. It could be your parent might be in that lecture this morning, and so I want to share the practice with you. So the practice, in order to nurture and grow the good seed that we identify we want to grow in our garden. Again, you guys pick mindfulness, compassion, diligence, love, kindness, and happiness. So the first practice I want to share with you to nurture the seed is practice bowing to the Buddha. We call it prostration, touching the earth. Là lễ Phật. Did you do this when you come here, right? Always 3 bows, right? What are the 3 bows that you practice? This is the first bow to take refuge in the Buddha. The second bow to take refuge in the Dharma. And third bow to take refuge in the Sangha. But I want you to be more aware and more mindful in the practice. Because when you practice and if you don't bring your mindfulness into it, you don't bring your awareness into it, you don't bring your concentration into it, wisdom never arises, manifests. You will never see the miracle in your practice. When you practice Dharma with the teaching of Buddha, there is miracle manifest. Something comes into your life very smoothly, and you go through life, very light and very liberation and very awakening. Because when you practice, you bring mindfulness, concentration, And therefore wisdom manifests, wisdom born. And so you go through life very skillfully, and very wise in your life. So the first practice, I'd like to invite you every day before you go to school, before you get out of your house, or even you don't go out how in the morning when you wake up, you bow three prostration to the Buddha, to Dharma and Sangha. I assume everyone here have an altar at your home. Do you all have an altar, like a Buddha statue and an altar? What about, is there anyone in here, you have a room just to display the Buddha statue only, and where you come in and practice? Anyone in here have that kind of room? If you do, you're very lucky. If not, then maybe if you and your sister can share a room, maybe take one room as a practice room, or at the meditation room or Buddha room, whatever you want to call it, just to make you aware in the practice. Because when you have a room to practice, when you have space to practice, you always remember to practice, and always want to take refuge in that room and in that spot, place. So here, how I want you to practice, so that you can see the miracle that manifests within yourself, around you, and also the more important, that you can spread your energy to the cosmos, to everyone around you, and especially to your family, and be very strong and happy energies in your house. So when you come to the altar, you bring your mind and body together. So your left hand is your mind, and your right hand is your body. And so you bring it together. Imagine there's energies here that you bring it in here. It means you are like, inhale the good energies in your body. In other words, you suck the good energies into your body as you bring it in close here, so you can see it. So then you breathe in. And because the practice of prostration or lefa or touching earth, those are terms that you will familiar as you study deep in Dharma. It's a practice to begin anew, to transform the action of the body, speech, and mind. Because we can create good karma, but we can also create bad karma. When we act kindness, when we speak generous, when we think positive, though we call good karma. But if we act unkindness, like fishing, or killing insects, or violence, that's called bad action in body. When we talk bad about someone, when we gossip, when we break the relationship between our community and our friends, that calls bad speech. When we manipulate someone, when we curse someone, when you yell and shout and hate someone in our own speech, that's called bad speech action. And when we think unproductive, we think bad about ourselves, we think negative about others, we think that we are not worthy to live, we think that person needs to be punished. In other words, all kind of negative ideas that arise in our thought, then that's called bad karma in thinking. So we want to remind ourselves to not to act or think and to speak unkindness by doing a prostration, and remind us and not to repeat that action. So if we bring it in two hands together, we breathe in and we touch to the head right here. That means we take refuge in the Buddha to purify our thinking. And we slightly touch our lips like this, purify our speech. And then we touch right on our heart, we purify our body. And then we open our hand like this, we breathe out. So if we breathe in, continue breathe in. And as we open our hand out like this, coming down, we breathe out. And we say to ourselves, we have nothing to hide. And this is the moment we ask the Buddha, the Bodhisattva, and our ancestor to witness at this moment as we take refuge in the Buddha, Dharma, or Sangha, and to begin anew ourselves. And as we come down, we breathe out, and as we touch our head has to touch the floor. What we call 5 limbs must touch the floor: the head, the forehead, the 2 hands, and the knees touch the floor. And as we touch the floor, we pause our breath. We hold our breath for a few seconds, and as we lift our head up, we breathe out. And then we come up, we breathe in, and we bow, we breathe out. So that, how many breaths is that? 3 breaths. So breathe in, continue breathing in, bring it to the forehead, touch slightly to the lips, touch the heart, and breathe out. And we come down, touch the floor. We hold our breath, lift our head up, we breathe out. Coming up, breathe in. Bring our hands together and bow, bring your head. So every time you join your palm, make sure you do it very gently and beautifully. Some of you have the habit, or some of us have a habit, to do like this, or like this, and not be very sincere in the practice. But when you come in front of the Buddha, you want to express your sincerity, your gratitude to the Buddha, to the great beings, and then we hold our hand right here. So all the fingers have to touch one another. So I don't know, had you guided the verse, taking refuge. I take refuge in the Buddha, the one who shows me the way of life. Did that sound familiar to you guys? Do you guys chant that every time you bow to the Buddha? Do you read that? I take refuge in the Buddha, the one who shows me the way of life. Do you recite it here? In Vietnamese. And then how do you say in Vietnamese then? Con gì? Oh, gia đình Phật tử. If you are a Buddhist youth, you have to know this. Otherwise, you are not truly a Buddhist youth. Con về gì? Con về nương tựa. Nương tựa gì? Nương tựa ai? Nương tựa Phật. Rồi sao nữa? What's the next line? Cái đó người lớn rồi, không kể rồi. What about the rest of you? Nobody memorized this? So, okay, who been coming here more than 1 year? Okay, first year, okay, I can understand. This is your first time, I can understand you don't memorize. But if you say this is your second year here, and you don't memorize this, something wrong. Oh no, như vậy là mấy anh chị huynh trưởng là phải cho mỗi em phải thi, em nào cũng phải biết con Phật, đệ tử Phật, Phật tử mà không biết nương tựa ai, mà cũng không biết đọc cái văn từ là sai rồi. If you say you're a Buddhist and you don't know who you're taking refuge in, and you don't know the phrase, oh, I don't know what you've been learning. The basic, if you don't know who you take refuge in, and if you don't know the line, you could confuse yourself. Sometimes you're lost. You're like a wandering soul. Minute you can be mindfulness, minute you can be awareness, minute you won't aware. That's because you're not clear of who you're taking refuge. But when you say, I take refuge in the Buddha, the one who showed me the way of life, then you really know your path, you really know where you're going. And you know who is taking refuge, who you take refuge in, and who is protecting you. So there is no way you can go in the wrong path. But in this case, you don't know who you take refuge in, you don't know the path, who is leading you, who will guide you, then for sure you're going to get lost. You're going to get lost. So after my talk, I want each and every one of you have to memorize the 3 refuges, the 3 jewels, as a Buddhist. Fair? Yeah, fair? Okay. So the first one, you come in as Buddha, I take refuge in the Buddha, the one who shows me the way of life. So you bow down, touch the earth, but don't come up right away. You take that moment and contemplate. Why do you want to take refuge in the Buddha? Why do you want to take refuge in the Buddha? It's because your parents told you so. Why do you want to take refuge in Buddha, huh? Con? Learning his teaching. What is he teaching? Is teaching us. What is Buddha teaching us? Teaching us to be happiness and free from suffering. Mm-hmm. Yep. What about you? Why are you taking refuge in the Buddha? It could be a very simple answer, like what? To practice mindfulness. You can answer simple, I take refuge in the Buddha because I'm a Buddhist. And I'm very proud as being a Buddhist, because the practice of Buddhism is compassion, understanding, love, free from discrimination, practice of free from suffering, recognize the suffering when it arises. And the Buddha is very clear on in the teaching. When we take refuge in Buddha, we never fall into the hell realms, in the dark realms, in other words. Because we always know that always great beings, the Buddha, the Bodhisattva, our ancestors, spiritual and blessed ancestors, always guide us in the right direction. When you know you take refuge in Buddha and the Buddha in you, you will never feel loneliness. You will never feel despair and sad, because there are so many good energies is growing and nurturing in you. Because you know really clear that where you're going. And so you touch the earth, and so you might contemplate, I take refuge in the Buddha for guidance. May I cultivate understanding so that I can look at all beings, that include my parents, my sibling, my family, my friends, my teacher, and all sense being, with kindness, with love, with generosity. So you might contemplate and take that moment and contemplate on that and reflect on that before you get up and bow. And next one. And the next refuge, what I take refuge in what? Louder. Everyone. In Dharma. The way what? What's the next line? I take refuge in Dharma. The second line is louder. Cũng không thuộc luôn. No one memorized. I take refuge in the Dharma, the way of understanding and love. Isn't what you recite every day on this? Đúng không? Mấy em đọc cái này mỗi ngày. Còn tiếng Việt thì sao? Mấy em không đọc tiếng Anh, mấy em đọc tiếng Việt phải không? Như vậy mấy em đọc tiếng Việt thì sao? Con về nương gì? Nương tựa gì? Mấy em đọc tiếng Việt phải không? Thì mấy con đọc lại cho sư biết đi. Con về nương gì? Ok, bây giờ có một em, maybe one volunteer recite the three refuges. Đọc 3 cái quy y đó. Who volunteers? So I know that you, because sometimes it's translate. You might read different translation. Okay, who can volunteer? Or together? One volunteers? Anyone? I wanted to hear what verse that you recite. It might be not the verse, the same translation that I share with you. And I don't want misunderstanding you that you don't remember the 3 refuges. So what are the 3 refuges that your kind of translation that you use in your daily practice or when you come here on Sunday? Wow. Are you shy or you don't know? You don't remember. Ba quy y mà mấy em không nhớ hả? Còn về nương tựa pháp, con đường của tình thương và sự hiểu biết. So let's use that verse in today. So the second vow that we practice touching earth, I take refuge in the Dharma, the way of understanding and love. So the Buddha taught over 84,000 methods, 84,000 Dharma, 84,000 lessons. So that's a lot of teachings, a lot of lessons we can learn from it. But in general, Buddhism are very famous in the practice of non-violence, practice of compassion and understanding. So as you bow, just like I share with you, you breathe in, touch our head, purify the thinking, touch our lips, purify our speech, touch our heart, purify our body, and we come down. I take refuge in the Dharma for guidance. May I cultivate understanding and love, so that I bring joy and peace to my parents, to my family, to my teacher, to my society, and all sensitive. And then we touch the earth, and then slowly you come up and you recite the third one. I take refuge in what now? In the Sangha, con về nương tựa tăng. Nương tựa tăng, đoàn thể của những người nguyện sống cuộc đời tỉnh thức. Or I take refuge in the Sangha, the community that practice harmony, awareness. So as you bow down again, breathe in, take your time, touch your head, purify the mind, purify the speech, purify the body, breathe out, touch your head for a moment, and you recite, I take refuge in the Sangha for guidance. May I practice the Buddha teaching so I learn to live peacefully with people, animal, plant, and mineral. May I learn to respect and love and understand my parents, my teachers, my friends, and all sense me. So something like that as you reflect and as you remind. And that's when you nurture the seed. Because now you're very clear that you want to plant the seed of happiness, compassion, generosity, understanding, mindfulness. But you need a food, just like you need water, fertilizer, to water your garden in order your tulips can grow, right? Or your lotus flower can grow. But here in this case, you use your practice as the fertilizer, as rain, as sun, and all the elements to nurture your seed of compassion, love, kindness, mindfulness, generosity. This is the seed that you want to plant. So these are the practice that you could do every day. And so every day I want you, just the simple practice, and we're not going to go further because we don't have enough time, but I want you to take seriously as you do the prostration 3 jewel, when you wake up, when you leave the house, before you go sleep. And so sometimes you can change the phrase, like for example, I take refuge in the Buddha for guidance, the one who shows me the way of life, and you bow down and you touch the earth. You might say, I take refuge in the Buddha for guidance. May I always live in awakening awareness. In my action, in my speaking, in my thinking. Or when you know that you are going somewhere, like for a soccer game, or a music concert that you have to perform, or when you take a test that day, I take refuge in the Buddha for guidance. And the one who showed me the way of life. And once you touch your head down on the floor, you say, I take refuge in the Buddha for guidance. May today I play soccer game, or may today I take tests. May today I perform my concert. May I be mindfulness. May I be calm and peace to see the truth answer to what my action would carry out. Did that make sense, Eve? Because sometimes at our own self, because we're not mature in awakening, in mindfulness, So we cannot see things clearly out of it because we are not at peace. So our clarity, our understanding is very weak. But when we ask the Buddha, when we ask our ancestor, when we ask all the great beings around us to help us, to support us, there's an energy that's given to you and be part with you. And suddenly you were able to answer that, you were able to pass that test, you were able to win that soccer game, you were able to go through your performance smoothly without making a mistake. Did anyone have done that before? Sometimes you don't know, how am I able to do that? Had that ever happened to you? Yeah. You know, you know that you didn't know this answer, you didn't study for that test. But here you come in and you were able to answer that question, you were able to pass the test. Maybe consciousness, you're not aware that you're actually mindful in that moment, but it's mindful constantly. So it's important that we always ask the support for great energies, especially energies of the Buddha, especially energy from our ancestor, the great being. It's there to support us. There's always great energies around us. But why did we not recognize? It's because we forget. We live in forgetfulness. We live unawareness. We live a life without aware of anything around us. So we couldn't feel the energy. We couldn't absorb that kind of energies. And so the only energy that we touch and we aware is the same energy that is present in that moment. For example, if our energy in that moment is anger, we can only touch the energy of anger. If our energy at that moment is jealousy, we can only touch the energy of jealousy. If our energy at that moment is discrimination present, we only touch the energy of discrimination present. Because that's our wavelength, that's our frequency. So it snaps other frequency and snaps other energies. So that's the only thing we feel at that moment. But let's say we were angry, but because we practice mindfulness and we are aware of anger, at this moment, I know I'm breathing in, I know I'm angry. I'm breathing out, I know I'm not happy at this moment. Just when you're aware that anger energies arise, then you will not contact with other anger energies, but rather you contact with mindfulness energies around you. Because I said there's all kinds of energies around you, but it needs you to be aware in order to contact the right energies. Just like frequency, wavelength. When you turn on the radio, it had to pick the right signal in order for it to be on, right? But if you put on the wrong signal, it would never pick up that channel. Same thing. We have all kinds, in other words, we all have kind of channels in us, all kinds of energies. But we have to tune in the right energies. Even at that moment, we go through very hard time, we go through very difficult time, but we are aware that this moment we are not happy, this moment we are sad, this moment we are confused. And we use our mindfulness, just the moment that you know that you are angry, just a moment that you know you are confused and sadness, you already tuned in the right energies already. It's just now that you have to continue to touch and carry that different energies to transform this energy of anger. If that makes sense to you, is this too hard for you to understand? So you all understand what I'm saying today? So, good. I'm being a little skeptical. Who can come up here and summarize for me? Or you can sit there and summarize. If you all say you nod your head, understand what I'm saying, this afternoon, I want just one person to summarize. It doesn't have to be a long sharing, few sentences. What do you understand? What did you get out from my Dharma talk today? In your own words, in your own understanding. Who can volunteer? Am now. Em nào có thể volunteer? Is that a hand raised? Oh, that's just a stress. Just looking around. Con. How about you, Con? Was that your hand raised now? How about you, Con? You seem to be very attentive to my talk. Just summarize in your own words. Con tên gì con? The girl behind you. Con gì tên gì? Yeah, maybe the microphone will help. Introduce your name, please. Closer.
I'm so.
Yes. Can you summarize in your own words what you learned today from my Dharma talk?
To pay attention to what is happening in the present and to think about how we feel that it is.
Any other sharing? Hân con nhé. Hân, có gì? Yes. Can you pass the microphone to Hân? Yeah, summarize what, from your own understanding, what did you pick out from my Dharma talk? I know I shared a few information.
How we should pay attention on what we should work on in our, your mental garden.
The mind garden.
And you were just telling us to pay attention on what we should get rid of in our garden, our weeds. And to do that, we should know that we need to take refuge in our rituals and how to do that. And yeah.
Very good. How about our guy? Yes.
You talked about we should just do Buddhism, like learn about Buddhism just because our parents did it, and about deep down why we want to do it and how we will express ourselves, learning Dharma and the same goal for everybody, and taking refuge in the Buddha and the ways, and just being mindful out there, using every knowledge that you know about the Buddha's teachings and using it in everyday lives, and just still be mindful about everything.
Very good. Excellent. You mentioned AL, right? AL technology is, or AI technology is very, very high and very profound and rich. I watched one debate between the Buddha and one Carl Jung, which is a psychiatrist. It was so real and so alive, and you actually think the Buddha is talking. But the Buddha had reached Nirvana 2,500 years ago. And you watched this psychiatrist, Carl Jung. He had different perspective in how he worked with his client, his patient, and between these two great people debating, it's just so wonderful. And I think if you watch those kind of debate, you would understand more about Buddhism and why Buddhism is so profound and rich, and people are searching into Buddhism for guidance in their practice mentally and physically too. I shared earlier with the adults that in the Western study, when they help a patient to release anger, they tell their patient to go home and punch on the pillow, punch into the wall, punch the ball, or squeeze something to release anger. But in Buddhist practice, that's called violence, because you might release your anger energy at that moment, but it's actually going to manifest more because you become more angry. Because you have the tendency that when you're mad at something, Or when you're mad or angry, you want to punch, you want to kick, and you want to shout. But imagine if there is nothing for you to punch, to kick, and just only people, you probably would punch and kick that person, right? But in Buddhism, we don't practice like that. When we recognize our anger, when anger arises, and then we come back to our breathing, taking care of our anger, and look into the notion of anger. Why are we angry at this moment? What makes us upset? What makes us mad? What is the reason? We have to find out by sitting still, by focusing on our breathing. It could take hours, minutes, or more. But if we sit still, we look into the notion of anger, that minute already, we already a step to transform our anger. And so now psychiatrists don't teach people like that anymore, especially when the most very famous Zen master in our time, Thích, had instituted many retreats to help psychiatrists or health profession to participate in this retreat. They help them a lot, and so they become slowly change how they help their client without using the violence practice. So in Buddhist practice, we always practice non-violence. So never practice violence on yourself. When you are mad, there is no reason for you to shout out. You thought when you're mad, you have to scream at your dad, as you scream at your mom, but that actually makes it worse. It makes you more angry. It makes you more upset as you grow older. And so your anger magnifies, it grows stronger. But when you're angry, try the practice. When you're angry at your mom, when you're angry at your dad, or when you're angry at anything, or mad at anything, just come back to yourself, not say anything. You can sit or walk or lying down or listen to relaxation music or bowing to the Buddha for ask for insight to overcome this anger and recognize that you are angry at this moment and not say anything. With that minute, you are slowly transform your anger seed in you. So this is the practice I like to conclude, to plant a good seed in the mind of garden. It's never use violence in your practice, whether shout or scream or kick to the wall or to the pillow, whatever. You just come back to yourself and follow your breathing. Take refuge in your breathing to calm yourself, to recognize why you're upset, why you're angry, why are you confused. And the minute you recognize, it will give you the answer. You will know. You will know. Try the practice. Is that clear? So when you're angry, or when you're upset, when you're confused, what do you do? What do we should do? What do we do? Yes. Yeah. To be clear, we come back and not say anything and take refuge in our breathing and just pause and breathe mindfully. That's all you do. Or when you are confused about something, don't rush and ask for advice from your friends, especially your friends who don't practice Dharma, who don't practice Buddhism. Don't come there. Just come back to yourself and look deeply to find the answer within. When you're at peace, when you're calm, there will be the answer. There will be a wise answer given to you. There will be insight answer given to you. And you know answer. But if it's too hard for you, you can call me. You can call the other Dharma master. You can talk to your parent, but don't come to your friend, especially a friend who don't practice, because they will give you wrong answer. Their perspective never right. We have a couple of friends back there nodding. So be very wise, and the only way we can be wise is by practice mindfully in our living daily life. Or we come back to our breathings, or we come back, take refuge in the Buddha, in Dharma, and the Sangha. We know that our parents there to support us. We know we have big brothers and sisters here that we are now in the Buddhist youth could take care of us. We know that we have the Dharma teacher could take care of us. You don't have to come in to the friend who does not practice. They will not give you the right answer. They will confuse you and they will give you wrong advice and you will be regret. So in conclusion, I wish the best in each and every one of you. Plant a good mind garden and transform in your garden. If there's weed in your garden, the unwholesome seed, the seed of anger, craving, discrimination, hatred, jealousy, well then transform that seed by the practice of today. I just give you one practice, actually two: mindfulness, come back to breathing, and also the practice of prostration for 3 jewels. Even though it's 3 bow, but it's very powerful if you do what I just shared with you. Take your time and you bow before the 3 jewels. Thank you very much for your listening. I hope my Dharma talk will benefit in your practice and you remember to do the practice and remember to do the practice. Thank you. So let us enjoy 3 silent bells and we send our energies and our love to the whole cosmos. So I leave 15 minutes for you to ask me a question. Anyone have a question for me? Yes.
At what age did you take Buddhism seriously, to the point where you move out to live in a temple, and how was that like?
I was lucky to raise in a Buddhist family, where my parents very supportive and want us to take refuge in Refuge so that we won't convert to become Catholic or Christians. So at a very young age, and I had to take refuge when I was 8 years old already. And I joined the retreats, many retreats when I was young. And how it's like the practice, to me, I'm always grateful. I'm always grateful in my life that I take refuge in 3 jewels, that I'm a Buddhist, now that I'm a monk, and practice, continue practice, and very in love with my practice. And now I have the opportunity to travel, to share the Dharma with young friends, both English speaker and Vietnamese, adults and young as well. So it's a wonderful practice, and to me I think it's very ideal to live a monastic life, to live a monk life, and I wish you will be one of that in the future. But if it's not, you can bring Dharma in a different form. As a lay Buddhist, you can spread the Dharma in your where you practice, in whatever you choose to practice, as a doctor or as a nurse. So I know this one young boy, when he came to retreat, and I was the one leading the retreat and helping him every year he comes. But now that he's doctor, so then occasionally he emailed to me, and before he see his doctor, he practiced meditation. So for him to become a doctor is not to get, not to earn a lot of money, but rather to bring Dharma into his patient, and especially continue to practice Dharma in him, the practice of Buddha teaching. So he would meditate first, and then before he come to see his patient. And then when he comes to the patient, and he invite his patient to breathe, take a 3 in and out breath. Even though because he would not allow just tell him to breathe and go deep in Dharma because he's not a monk. So he said, just breathe with me 3 in and out breath deeply. And so that's what he practiced. So even he's a doctor, but he can still bring Dharma into the world. And I think being a doctor and bringing Dharma into the world, that's a very, that's very profound, that's very powerful. Mm-hmm. Any other question? Do you have any other question? Yes. Can you repeat that question?
How do you start your day peacefully?
How do you start your day peacefully? Very good. That is a very good question. That could be a very long, that could be another Dharma talk. So we sit here another hour. How do we start a peaceful day? It's very important when you wake up. The first thing in your mind is gratitude. First thing in your mind is gratitude. The gratitude idea, the gratitude thinking, and recognize you are grateful is very powerful. Just the minute you feel gratitude of this life. In Buddhism, when we speak gratitude, we speak 4 kinds of gratitude. Gratitude to our parents who give this life to us, provide the material education to us. Gratitude to our teacher who give us Dharma, the teaching of the Buddha, help guide us in the right direction. Help us practice living mindfulness and compassion, love. The third is gratitude to our friends. And our friend, we have academic teacher as well, who support us in our practice, in our life. And gratitude to all sense being, that mineral, water, earth, all the wonderful elements. So in order for you to start with a happy day, a peaceful day, the first thing in your mind, feel gratitude. Let's say you might not really think about other form of gratitude, but you should, when you wake up, you should recognize that you are alive. You are awake. You live in the house that is well sheltered. Everything is there for you. Your parent, your mom is there. Maybe it's not in your own standard, but they're there to support you. You had a bed to sleep. You have the roof you have to cover. And you are awake and you're well at this moment. And when you see that, then already the energies of gratitude fulfill in your thoughts, in your body, in your mind. And so you overcome other challenges because you have so many energies in there. Just think everything is energies, but when you have a lot of positive energies, it's transformed other negative energies. Or even when you wake up, you have a toothache. And so you thought, you don't feel grateful at all because you have toothache. So all the thing is about your pain. But think about that you only have toothache, but you still breathe. You're still able to walk. You're still able to see. You're still able to live in a very happy family. So a person who practices mindfulness, a person who always come back to him or herself, body and mind, always see the wonderful things that we can always be grateful. So to make it short, and maybe next time we can share the one thing. Wake up in the morning with gratitude. And when you gratitude, smile. There's a verse that I'd like you to memorize and to contemplate. Waking up this morning, I smile. Can you repeat after me? Waking up this morning, I smile. 24 brand new hour are before me. 24 brand new hours are before me. So repeat the first line. Waking up this morning, I smile. 24 brand new hours are before me. So a day is 24 hours, right? So we need to welcome that 24 brand hour. Yesterday is also 24 hours, but today is also 24 hours, but new, brand new 24 hours. Every day is a new day. So whatever happened yesterday is yesterday. What's going to happen today is important. And because you had that smile, you are welcome 24 brand new hour. Brand new hour are before me. I vow to live mindfully in each moment. Can you repeat after me? I vow to live mindfully in each moment. To live mindfully in each moment. Now repeat the first three lines. Waking up this morning. Okay, let's do it together. 2, 3. Me. I vow to live mindfully in each moment, and to look at being with eye of compassion and love. To look at being with eye of compassion. To look at beings. Can you repeat after me? To look at beings with eye of compassion, love. Okay, now repeat the 4 lines for me. Yeah. And to look. Yay! I think Hân got it. Hân, can you take the microphone and say it out loud for me? Make me proud. Make everyone proud. and then the next person.
Waking up this morning, I smile. 24 brand new hours before me.
Yes. To live. Yeah. I vow to live in each moment. I vow to live mindfully in each moment.
I vow to live mindfully in each moment. And then I look at beings.
And to look at beings with eyes. With eyes
With eyes of compassion and love.
and understanding. Yay, very good. So to answer your question, yes, wake up with gratitude, and you might run to recite this first so that you can welcome the 20 brand new hours. And I will guarantee you live a very peaceful life. Any other question? Yeah? Yeah, I see a leader in you.
Out of all the kills around the world, what was your favorite experience?
All the chùa. Well, different chùa or monastery they bring different kind of energies when I come, and I always enjoy going and experiencing different kind of monastery. And of course, the kid also affected by that kind of energies too. So I always share that if you don't practice mindfulness, you might be affect wrong energies without being aware. But if you practice mindfully, then you can select the right energies to nurture your body and mind. Yeah. Any question?
What's your favorite part about Buddhism?
Huh?
What's your favorite part about Buddhism?
What is my favorite part about Buddhism? Oh, a lot. One of my most favorite practice of Buddhism is a practice of letting go. I love the practice of letting go. And when I have when I have something negative arise, I let it go right away. I practice let it go right away, and not being affected by it. You know, letting go of material is easy, right? Could be, but you know, when you give something away, do you feel good? Do you feel great when you give something to someone else? Yeah, you feel great, right? Yeah, but think about when you letting go the negative thoughts, ideas, grudges, you know, someone that you don't like, and you just let it go and forgive that person. It's just a wonderful experience, wonderful joy. But of course, there's a lot. I wouldn't, there's a lot of my favorite practice. But one of the practice I do regularly is practice of letting go. Letting go. You know, as a monk myself, material I don't have. But you know, as a human being, we have all kind of thoughts and ideas, and that sometimes it's not positive. Sometimes it's not so great. Sometimes it can be very sorrow and suffering. And to learn the practice of letting go is the greatest healing, you know, in the practice, in the practitioner. I like it. I like when you ask questions. So we have the family back there. They just finished their retreat in New Jersey. So they went to Boston to join the retreat for 4 days. And now their parents take them to New Jersey for another retreat. And then now they know that I'm coming here. They come here to listen. So this is like a 2-hour retreat for them. Yeah. Any question? Yes.
What's good about Buddhism?
There's a lot of good things about Buddhism. A lot. I think one of the most powerful teaching of Buddhism that other religions found inspire is the Four Noble Truths, Eightfold Path. Because in Four Noble Truths, the Buddha shared very clearly on these teachings. You know, we always want to practice on the practice living a life of happiness, right? But sometimes we don't know the real answer to happiness. We thought, okay, having a good job, having married a right person, having a good family is happiness. But that's not true, because there's other suffering can fall in our life, right? But Buddha is very clear on the Four Noble Truths. Suffering is part of life. We have to recognize that. But there is a reason to our suffering, which is the cause to suffering. There's an original, their origin, there's a root to suffering. And when we look into that, just like I shared earlier, that anger, when you look into the notion of anger, you know the reason to your anger. And there's a third noble truth, the Buddha said, there's a way we can end our suffering. And the fourth is the path to happiness, because we have the practice to end our suffering. So to answer your question with the greatest teaching of Buddha, the Four Noble Truths is very profound, and only Buddhism had this Four Noble Truths, this way of thinking. And you can use this Noble Truth as a diagnostic tool, an instrument to help you to heal yourself. So the Buddha said we can be our own doctor, we could be our own teacher, we could be our own engineer, we can be our own master, if we constantly and grasp the understanding of Four Noble Truths. When we seek, whether physically or mentally, first thing we have to do, recognize that illness, recognize the suffering. And the minute you recognize, look deeply into it, then you know the cause to the suffering, the cause to your illness. And third, you know, there is a way that you can in this illness or this suffering. And now the four, you should apply one of the practice was Eight Noble Fold Path. Use your right thinking, use the right view, understanding, use your right speech, use your right action, use your right livelihood, Does your job, does your occupation bring joy to you, bring happiness to you? Use your right mindfulness, use your right concentration to look deeply and to find the answer. And only you can find the answer. Doctor cannot find you the answer. If you go to a doctor and you tell them your sickness, he gonna realize on what you say and give you the prescription. Do you know that? Most doctors are like that. So you have to be your own doctor and find out. So when you are sick, when you're ill, look deeply, meditate, do the walking meditation, do sitting meditation, lying down, calm your mind, body, and find out why are you sick, why are you suffering, why are you in pain. Look deeply and you will find the answer to it. All the source, also answer is in you if you practice Dharma. You are your own master. You are your own doctor. Yes.
How do you know you're on the right path?
How do I know?
You're on the right path.
How do you know you're on the right path? When you walk on the path, first you have to do the checking. So everyone here assume that you are, you have transmitted 5 mindfulness training, right? So how do you know you're on the right path? By these 5 guidelines. When you walk on the path and you're not killing any beings, you're not harming any being, you protect environment, you protect all beings, then you're on the right path. When you're on the path, you are not stealing anyone's possession, but you practice generosity, giving, whether material, Dharma, or helping someone free from fear, you're on the right path. When you are not sexual misconduct, you protect happiness. You know who's your partner, you know who you're going to marry, and you know that you will transmit the good jewel in you to that person. You protect the happiness of your family, of yourself, but you also protect the happiness of other people, your neighbor, your community, the children. Then you are on the right path. When you are not lying, manipulation, or using curse, abusive action or words, but you use kindness, you practice deep listening to help that person to speak the truth, to speak kindness, then you are on the right path. When you're not consuming intoxicant item, you don't drink alcohol, you don't consume unhealthy diet, you don't allow the magazine, books, film, conversation, and social media affect your thinking, brainwash you, losing your well-being, then you are on the right path. Just based on that 5 mindfulness training, 5 precepts, 5 guidelines that the Buddha had teach us over 2,500 years ago, and we abide by that, we observe that, and we study and practice daily. Stick with that, and you will always on the right path. Thank you for your questions. Yeah, question is very important because sometimes when I give a Dharma talk, I just, it's going to be very narrative. It might be not fit into your understanding and to what you want to know. But when you ask a question, it's go directly to you. So it's very helpful to ask a question. So maybe next time, when I come and say give a Dharma talk, you can either ask me questions personally, or you write down on a piece of paper, so you have 1 year to see me again. So you have 1 whole year to contemplate, or when you have a problem, you write it down, and then when I come here, instead of giving you my own topic, what I want to share with you, I will answer to your question. I think it will benefit, and it will go straight directly to you. Is that right? And I love answering questions, my favorite thing. Yeah. Because I think when I answer the question, I feel like I transmit my Dharma to you directly. Because if I share my Dharma on my own topic, you might like it, but you might forget. Yeah, how about next time we do that? You like that? Would you like that idea? You can write on a piece of paper, or you can ask directly to me when you're on that day. So maybe next time we'll do that. And of course, if you have no question for me, then I give a lecture. One last question before I leave here, and I won't see you guys until next year. You have no, like, is there anything that you always question yourself when you come here and that you want to ask some of the practice here that you may not understand? Or so.
How do you use good and bad karma in your daily life?
Okay, rephrase that question for me.
How do you use good and bad karma in your daily life?
You know, as a monk, when I lived in monastery, I had more opportunity, more time to cultivate good karma than most of you guys. Because this is how our schedule. We wake up 4 o'clock, we invite the great bell at 4:45, and 5:15 we meditate, and then after meditation we chant, after chanting we do qigong, after qigong we do walk-in meditation, after walk-in meditation we have breakfast, after breakfast we have working meditation, after working meditation we have lunch and recite the Buddha name, and you have a noble silence. Because you wake up 4 o'clock, so you really need that noble silence to rest. And then you come back and you have another sitting meditation and chanting. And then you do some garden work for watering the plant, especially in summer. I travel a lot in summer. And at night you do the sitting meditation. So all day long, you always cultivate compassion in the monastery. And so the other, maybe other negative karma is might be when you do the garden, you might kill the insects without being aware. I might step on the insects while I'm doing the walking without being aware of my footstep. I might teach my student, and my student might not aware and feel sad about my teaching because not so then how do I transform that that I feel that is not a right thing? So then I always, when I do, every time I have a sitting meditation, I do loving kindness meditation, which means I send my energies to that person, to that being. If today I have done something wrong, please forgive me. May this being be well and happy. May this person be well and happy. So that's how I do. So to transform my negative karma energies, because I'm being unawareness, then I just send my loving kindness every time I do sitting meditation. And the loving kindness meditation is very, very powerful. So that's how I practice. So can we end now? Yeah, no. How about Nathan? Do you have any questions, Gong? And hi, Soda. Nathan, no question. And yeah.
What's the difference between peaceful and happiness?
Mm.
And are they the measurement of the level of successful in practicing Buddhism?
That's a good question. What is the difference between peacefulness and happiness? Happiness, when we say happiness, it's based on notion, ideas, right? My definition of happiness is meditation. But your definition of happiness is going to concert. So happiness is based on notion, idea of that person. So when you practice and you want that happiness is a true happiness, because not all happiness is a good happiness. Because people drink alcohol, they say that's happiness, right? That could be their happiness. But though we don't practice consuming alcohol, someone make me drink alcohol, or someone make me drink alcohol, that's like a torture. That's suffering. So to answer, happiness is still on notion and perspective of each person. So it's not, it can be wrong to some people, but it can be right to someone. But if we train ourselves now, instead of happiness, we train ourselves to be true happiness. And that happiness should be based on the 5 mindfulness, the 5 precepts of mindfulness training. Make sure it's not abide to the 5 guidelines I just mentioned before. Then that be true happiness. Otherwise, your happiness it can be just your own perspective, and that can be not good happiness. Whereas peacefulness is come on a state of mind, the state of mind, and there's no notion. For example, when you sit at the beach, and that moment you didn't want anything, you just feel content and peace, and not want anything, not craving for anything. There is no notion, idea, wishing to have something. Then that is peace. So peace is a state of mind, not a notion. Whereas happiness, there is notion, perspective, wanting, craving, searching.
So happiness is conditional.
And happiness, in other words, is based on condition. Whereas peace is still conditioned. But then when you are at peace at the state of that, it's a state of mind. You are dwelling in that moment, not wanting anything. For example, if you're sitting here and you are content and not wanting to go anywhere, not wanting to leave, or just be content at this moment, then you are at peace. There's nothing that you need to do. There's nothing that you need to think about. There's nothing that you wanting and craving for. Then that is peace in the mind. So the state, peace is in other words, state of mind. And when you're content, that peace. And then we want to touch this a lot, every day in our daily life. We want to sit by our mom and not want anything, just to be enjoy and sit by our mom and dad, and not wishing for anything, and you just feel the energy of your mom and dad. That's called peace. But when you sit by your mom and dad, and you're sitting here, so that next moment you can ask, Mom, can you take me to shopping? Mom, can you buy this for me? Or Dad, can you get this for me? Because you already draw the happiness in you, and that's why you sit by your mom and dad. That is why you offer your mom and dad a cup of tea. That's why you hug your mom and dad, to make you happy. Because you want something. You already had the ideas. You already wanted something. So that's happiness. So to make it easy to understand, happiness is still based on conditioned notion ideas. Whereas peace is coming with the state of mind and your own inner self. It's coming from the cultivating inner self, that you do not want anything at the moment. You are content with everything you have, not wanting, chasing anything. Your second question, how successful?
Progress of practicing Buddhism. And then measuring on peacefulness.
The measure of peacefulness. How do we measure the peacefulness? Or?
That's the tool to measure the progress.
Like I said, peacefulness is coming with a state of mind, and only you can taste that. If I say this is cold water I'm drinking, you would not know how cold it's to you. Maybe to me it's cold, but when you drink it, you say, well, this is not cold, this is too warm. So in the practice, you have to taste the practice, you have to take the Dharma, you have to do the practice in order to see the level of your peacefulness, the level of your practice. Nobody can measure it, because Dharma is vast like an ocean. It's immeasurable. you cannot measure. Right now, I feel great joy. You cannot measure my joy. Because you guys asked a really good question and I enjoy it very much.
Nam mô Bổn Sư Thích Ca Mâu Ni Phật. Kính bạch Di Sư, đây là lần thứ 3 trong những cái chuyến hoàn pháp. Di Sư đã từ bi dành cho gia đình Phật tử Biết Tâm chúng con những cái giải pháp rất là thực tế, đầy ý nghĩa. Ngày hôm nay cô đã chỉ dẫn cho các em nhận thức của 6 căn, của sự tỉnh thức. Cô đã dạy dỗ cho các em quán tưởng trong từng cái loại của đại Phật của mình, cũng như cô đã dạy dỗ từ ơn tóm gọi cho cái một giờ ngắn ngủi chỉ một pha của Ni Sư. Thật sự là những cái bài pháp rất là thực tế. Hy vọng các em của chúng con có thể tiếp nhận được và sống được trong cái cuộc sống thực tế của mình. Tha mạng cho tất cả thì chúng con thành tâm đem lại những thế chỉ ân. Và hy vọng rằng trong tương lai mình có những dịp cô người Phật Pháp ở đây cô vẫn mở rộng đầu tư thì ban chúng con những giải pháp hữu ích. Nam mô Công Đức Nam Bồ Tát Ma Tát Tất Đại Chúng.
Sharing the merit. Nguyện đem công đức này hướng về khắp tất cả đệ tử và chúng sanh đều trọn thành Phật đạo. So let us stand up and bow to the Buddha.